And welcome to the Sun Solar Panel, a Phoenix Sun show. I'm Tim Tompkins.
I'm Greg Esposito. Ahoy, hoy. Usually you don't say it, Dave.
And that's Dave King. And today on the show, we are going to talk about the Suns' big win over the Pacers. We're going to recap some team stats, go over our choice for player of the game, the Bridges versus Warren matchup, the bench unit coming up strong again, especially when Devin Booker is in foul trouble or fouls out of the game, and where the Suns sit in the bubble as of the time of recording this episode. First question, though, which stream were you guys watching?
And where the Suns sit in the bubble as of the time of recording.
Apparently, Dave's watching one of the streams.
First question, though, which stream were you guys watching? And where the Suns sit in the bubble.
Who's watching the stream? Turn it off.
Were you guys watching?
I don't know what's going on.
All right, sorry about that, everybody. Okay, what stream were you guys watching on League Pass?
I was watching Fox Sports Arizona. I don't need
Yeah, we're local. We don't have to watch League Pass.
Oh, I got you. Okay, well, I'm not sure if you guys saw my tweet or if you were aware of it or not, but NBA League Pass has decided to do an influencer stream. So they had Nate Duncan and Danny LaRue doing the play-by-play and the commentary, which I can tell you was the irony behind it. I don't think that the NBA really understood.
Tell us about it. Tell us, Tim. We got to hear it.
Halfway, they blocked their own audio. You know,
I actually thought that they did a really nice job, and it was a bit refreshing. You know, as much as I love the home broadcast, at some point, sometimes it is nice to hear another perspective every once in a while. I thought they did a really great job, but I'm pretty sure they have never once seen Kelly Oubre play a game for the Suns, and it seems like the only thing they did was complain about Deandre Ayton the entire game.
Oh, surprise, surprise. Way to go, guys.
One heck of a game. The dude he made some great defensive plays in that game. And he ended up with 4 blocks. He had 10 rebounds, and he had 23 points. And even Suns fans were ripping on him too. I think too many people were watching that League Pass feed.
Because his name isn't a certain unnamed person we're not going to mention here, he's going to continue to get this. But this was a hell of a game from Deandre Ayton. Defensively, offensively, he came through. He did the little things that they needed to win this game. Devin in foul trouble. He didn't have as big of an offensive game as obviously the other night or the previous 2 games. Deandre Ayton helped fill that void and played very well. And anybody that didn't see that is just looking for a reason to nitpick Deandre Ayton's game. It's plain and simple. Deandre Ayton had a hell of a game, and he's a huge reason why this team is 4-0 now in the bubble.
Well, and that's absolutely true. I just don't understand the constant negativity around Ayton. Look, he has some things he has to work on. I totally agree. I was getting texted by some buddies of mine too. Same thing. Look, he's got some things to work on, but the man made a huge difference in this game. Huge difference defensively, and people don't notice that. When he just goes vertical, he doesn't get the foul call, but he causes a missed shot. He causes the guy to miss the layup he's going for. I mean, he totally contested so many shots. It was impressive if you were actually watching a play that didn't have a score in it or a jump shot in it or a slam dunk. He actually had a really good game. He was very engaged the entire game.
Steve,
he lays in the ball a little bit too much for everybody's liking. But you know what? 2 points is 2 points.
And he got to the free throw line on some of those down low in this game too. Look, Steve in the chat says, to be honest, every time I check the game, he did something frustrating. I think that's part of the problem. There's a lot of people that get frustrated, and this is no knock on you, Steve. I appreciate you being part of the Flaming Ballers. But I think part of the problem is people aren't watching full games, especially during this bubble, because they're at very weird times for people who are working. So if they do check in and only see a little bit, they're not seeing the complete game and what Deandre Ayton's doing on both ends of the floor. I thought he was very great at times today, and very great today in the game. Did a lot of good things throughout, and he's again a big reason why they're sitting at 4-0 and why they were able to basically for most of this game manhandled the Pacers. They're missing Sabonis obviously, and Ayton came out and took advantage of a hole in their low post.
The Suns really did. They did manhandle the Pacers this whole game. That's for sure.
So one thing is worth noting, the Suns hit 30 wins. Huh?
Yep. Suns haven't had 30 wins since 2015. And what's the bigger piece, Tim?
No bigger piece. I was also going to say that they held the Pacers to a 96 offensive rating for the game, which is incredibly impressive.
Yeah, absolutely. The other bigger piece I was going to point out, sorry, I thought you were leading to this, but the Suns are only one game out of ninth, and there's 4 games to play, and they absolutely have the momentum to get into that play-in. I would love to see Portland and the Suns get that play-in game. That would be freaking awesome. It would be tight. It's going to go down the last game, whether the Suns are going to get in there. But guess what? The Suns last 2, I don't have their schedule in front of me, but they play the Mavericks one of their last 2 games. Mavericks are already locked into the 7th seed. So the Suns are playing teams that are going to rest players because they're not playing the other teams that are competing for that playoff spot. And those other teams have to beat each other. So I think the Suns have a really strong shot actually of getting into that play-in game.
I mean, Dave, look, they're only 2 games out of the 8th spot right now, and Memphis is in a complete and utter free fall. They're 0-4. Suns are 4-0, the only 4-0 team in the bubble, and now things are getting really interesting. You could wind up having this be a 3-team race between Portland, Phoenix, and the Spurs if Memphis continues this free fall that they're in. Look, tonight there's a big game with with Portland taking on Denver. The Suns badly need Denver to win that game because then there's only a half a game between them and the Trailblazers for that 9th spot, and things start to get very exciting at that point, right? The Suns have the 76ers, who will be without Ben Simmons now due to an injury. Miami, who could very well be without Jimmy Butler, who's been out hurt, and potentially Goran Dragic. This schedule starts to look a heck of a lot easier than we thought after those first 4 wins just due to injury. So there's an opportunity to do something truly special sitting right in front of the Phoenix Suns right now. And because of what's happened with the teams in front of them, they now kind of control their own destiny in some ways. As long as they take care of business and keep playing this way, they likely will have a great shot at forcing that play-in.
What is interesting is a couple of people have commented that what happens if there's ties at the end. So part of it is going to be winning percentage, and that's the way it always is. For tiebreakers and stuff like that, tiebreaker rules are about winning, include winning percentage as well as one of the tiebreakers. So it could be Portland does have, I think, 2 more games on their schedule played. So they're likely to have a higher winning percentage just on the 3rd decimal than another team that played 2 less games, because Portland was at 67 and the Suns were at 65, for example, when play stopped. But if you've got 2 teams who have the same number of games played, same record, same number of wins, same number of losses, I expect they'll have to do some kind of play-in to the play-in, right? I mean, it seems like if you do have 3 teams left and 2 of them are tied for 9th, for example, and they are both the same exact record, I feel like you'd have to have a play-in to the play-in.
How amazing would that be? I don't know if that's what the NBA has, but if you had a 1 game to get into a basically a 2-game series to then get into a 7-game series with the Lakers, this could be the most exciting week and a half stretch of basketball we've ever seen. And the Memphis Grizzlies have done a lot to make this even more exciting. Like, we thought, you're fighting for 9th. No, you're fighting for 8th now too. And that's amazing.
I mean, honestly, who would have thought that we would be at this point into the bubble restart and the Suns would have gone 4-0? I mean,
this is the first 4-game win streak of Devin Booker's career, by the way.
Hey, do it at the right time.
Dave, I thought you said that the Suns won 5 games to start the season.
They went 5-2, but I don't think it had 4 wins in a row in there.
I got you.
3 3 was the most Book had before.
So if I said
yeah.
4, I think I was wrong, but I'm pretty sure this is the first.
And we're going to go down player by player and really talk about our thoughts. But just to quickly touch on Devin Booker, I thought that this stretch of games from Devin Booker has been as close to the best of his career. I mean, his passing today specifically, even though he didn't light up the box score with assists, and that's because players were missing wide open threes, I thought was one of the best passing games that I've ever seen him play too.
He had 10 assists. I mean, he had a double-double.
He ended up with
I think his best stretch too was when he came back with 5 fouls with 8 minutes left to go in this game, right? He comes in, hits some shots, makes some nice passes, but there was a moment where he got a travel called on him, right? And it didn't really look like a travel. It looked very much like the shot he hit to win the game against the Clippers. And he got very angry and was about to go after the refs. And Monty caught his eye, and great camera angle by Fox Sports Arizona on this to take the shot. And you could see Monty telling him, just calm down, let that one go, play within yourself. And it spoke, that was a microcosm of what this season has been to me, is Monty Williams' massive impact on Devin Booker and the way he approaches the game, the way he approaches his teammates. That moment was, Devin, this is your team, this is your game. Don't let the refs get in your head, because if he had gone off, he probably fouls out. Instead, Monty calms him down, and he was a big reason why the Suns withstood that last Indiana push and wound up winning 114-99 in the end of this. That was my favorite moment of the game, and I think that was the best 8-minute stretch from Booker we've seen, because he had to do it with so much on the line and only being able to have 1 foul in that.
Let me make a couple of comments on the flow of the game. I took some notes, and most of the people know this already, but I just want to tack them together. So at the beginning of the game, the Suns went on a 17-0 run with their starters against the Indiana starters. 17-0. They were down, I think, 9-7, and they went up 24-9. So there's that 17-0 run with the starters. And then in the second half, it was a 21-0 run with the bench, with Payne and Dario Saric doing, I think, all the scoring, if not almost all, but I think it was all the scoring. And then Indiana came back again and got it down into single digits. And it was a sequence. My favorite sequence of the game was when Deandre Ayton blocked Malcolm Brogdon on a reverse layup, caught his own block, landed in bounds, passed it out on the break, and then finished on a pick and roll, driving to the hoop on the other end. That personal turnaround with the block, the rebound, the pass, and the finish, that put the Suns back up 10, and they never looked back.
Yeah, that was an incredibly important stretch. I mean, I really only felt like there was one point in the game where I started to think it's possible that the Pacers are really going to pull this away. I think it was sort of to start the third, in which the Pacers had really closed out the second well, and they started the third pretty well as well. Devin Booker had just gotten into foul trouble, and I think that the Suns actually lost the lead by a couple of points for a couple of minutes. But after that, it was all Suns all day. So I do. I guess we should probably go into. We want to go into what's in the box, Greg.
All right.
What's in the box?
Let's pull up the box score now, right?
Y'all crazy.
All right. Before we get into the box score, let's go into the team stats. So the Phoenix Suns out-rebounded the Pacers 53-38, specifically on the offensive glass, 12 compared to 5 for the Pacers. 27 assists for the Suns compared to 20 for the Pacers, 6 steals apiece. The Suns did have 4 blocks. I believe all 4 of them came from Deandre Ayton, though I thought I saw Mikal Bridges block or 2 in the game. And both teams respectively had 15 turnovers apiece.
Yeah, the Suns really showed out in this game. I had a feeling earlier in the day, but I didn't want to jinx it by tweeting it or sharing it with anybody. But I really felt like this was going to be their biggest game of the bubble so far, biggest win of the bubble so far. I felt like the Pacers just didn't really quite have the horses it took. I mean, the Pacers were 3-0 also, but two of their wins were Orlando and Washington. And the Suns, also played Washington, but had played had played Dallas and then beat the Clippers. Suns had the harder schedule, and the Suns were really on a roll. And look, I don't want to hold anything against TJ, but I didn't see another 40-point game coming from him.
Well, we'll talk about that. There might have been a bit of a Mikal Bridges impact, and that said 16-point performance. I think it was 16 points. We'll look at the
Bridge
box
over
score.
troubled TJs. Yes.
Let's talk about leading scorers for the game. Deandre Ayton, 23 points, 10 rebounds, 1 assist, 2 steals, and yes, 4 blocks. Devin Booker, he only had 20 points, and only had 20 points. Obviously, that is because he was in foul trouble for a good portion of the game. 50% shooting. He was 7 of 7 at the strike. You guys pointed out earlier, but he did have 10 assists as well. Dario Saric, another really strong game, I thought, for him. 16 points. Payne, off the bench is that second guard. We're going to get into the player of the game, and Greg and I, Dave, before you got on, after you finished up the post-game media availability, we're talking about our thoughts on the player of the game. We didn't go with Payne because he was a -5 specifically for the on-off numbers, but I thought that he was well deserving. Ricky Rubio, Mikal Bridges, 10 points, really strong outing, pretty much from everybody except for the best player on the Suns, Frank.
I'm sorry. Did you mention Cam Johnson? 14 and 12. Cam Johnson, 14 and 12 with 2 assists. 3 assists and a steal. He was really important, even though he didn't show. I mean, he didn't show as one of the best players out there. He did a lot of really good things out there.
Well, he was
his second double.
He was a positive 36 on the court,
and he led the team in the plus minus department. Yes,
which
is wild.
I think in my mind, he's starting to solidify that spot forward. Some combination of him and Bridges, whoever you want to count as the power forward, but they look good together. He looks like, as long as he can stay healthy, the kind of guy that you want in there in terms of being able to stretch the floor. And you now have 2 really long guys out there on the floor with him and Mikal Bridges. I'm excited what I'm seeing from Cam Johnson, but without Payne, they don't win that game.
I'm not going to Payne or Cam Johnson.
Payne.
Just finish really quick on Cam Johnson before we go on. I'm never going to say I'm a person who has sources because I don't live for sources. I don't act like a regular journalist where I dig and dig and dig. Sorry, guys. I just don't. I know people with the organization, but they don't tell me stuff they don't tell other people. However, I did come across a nugget of information I laughed off last summer after Cam Johnson was drafted by the Suns. Oh, by the way, everyone should go back and watch Greg and Tim's recap of the draft. Who the hell is Payne or Cam Johnson? Who the hell is Cam Johnson? But
let's be honest. Everybody was asking that question. Nobody knew why he went at 11. At 11. So
anyway, I found it. I heard a nugget of information from somebody who knew Cam Johnson, who was working with the Suns. They actually talked about Cam Johnson being a power forward before the end of his rookie year. They really did. Last summer, they said they wanted him to bulk up. They wanted him to be able to stretch that floor and be that future stretch forward. So, and I thought I laughed it off at the time because looking at him as a senior, who I thought, oh, he's already filled out. This is the body he's going to have, and he looked about as skinny as Mikal Bridges. Well, it just turns out in today's game, guys like Mikal Bridges and Cam Johnson and Kelly Oubre can spot time at power forward and do well.
Give me a second here. I'm going to look right here in the camera and say, Cam Johnson, I'm sorry I didn't know who you were, but I'll never forget who you are now. So thank you for what you've done in the bubble and what I hope you continue to do here in Phoenix.
The Warg of Wall Street in the YouTube chat says, I bet Indy is feeling some sort of Johnson pain.
Hey now.
Malishi Ashes says, well, either way, if Kelly stays or not, I'd still want Mikal and Cam to start. I think that's really interesting. So the whole time you were talking about Cam and being the future at power forward, Dave, I was just thinking, but that has really been Mikal Bridges. The best lineup for the Suns has been the Mikal Bridges at 4 and the Kelly Oubre at 3. And it does make you wonder if we're coming up into that sort of a log jam again. But then you look at teams like the Clippers, who have tons of wings, and they're doing okay.
Yeah, no, it's really important to have a lot of switchable players out there. And what I really like about Deandre Ayton is he's one of those switchable players. He moves so well that he can be one of those guys who switches out. Part of what the Suns are doing this year is they're doing a lot of drop coverage with the center, because besides DeAndre, you've got Frank and Dario and Aaron Baines playing those minutes, and they can't do the switching. I would be excited to see if the Suns had like a more athletic, better than Cheikh Diallo. Don't ever mention Cheikh Diallo again in this rotation, please. But if they get someone better than that who can switch as well and spot time at center, it'd be fun to see Monty actually let the centers, including DeAndre Ayton, do switching out on the perimeter and see what happens, because he does so well when he gets locked in like that. And so, yeah, you need the length. Obviously, we're seeing that there are teams with smaller guards out there that the Suns can kind of swallow up a little bit. Even Payne is a 6'7" wingspan, even though he's only 6'2" in height. Javon Carter is the smallest dude out there. He just gets into your grill really well. So I think the Suns are actually doing very well. Holding a team in this bubble environment under 100 is pretty impressive.
Look, YouTube chats, man. It's crazy, the recency bias that people really have. Someone plays a couple of good games, another player's injured, and we're like, yeah, just bring him in off the bench. Talking about Kelly Oubre, but it's
Kelly Oubre. People, please don't forget that Kelly Oubre was part of the third best lineup in the entire NBA this year. Plus 20 over reasonably good minutes, 250 minutes. That's the average. Some of the best lineups barely cracked into the 300s. So as far as minutes played together, just real quick, plus 20.2 on a game if they could play. So stop with the Kelly Oubre hate, please.
Kelly who? Kelly Oubre, that's what it is. If you can't get over whatever mental hurdle is going on with you to play with these guys, with how damn exciting this has been and what they're doing, I don't have room for you anymore. I mean, that's the bottom line for me. Is this? I know it's recency bias, but this makes Kelly Oubre even more expendable. I've been talking about this for months now, that just the contract situation and the amount of wings you had made Kelly the logical choice. But this is now confirming what I was believing even more, that Kelly's the likely guy that's out. But can we please talk about Campaign?
Kelly has, yes, we can go back to Campaign real quick, but Kelly has been upgraded to doubtful, which means he's getting closer to playing. He did practice a little bit yesterday. He might play in these upcoming games. Aaron Baines probably will not. He's got some knee impingement of some sort. So really, when people say we need Baines to get in there to take Frank's minutes away, how about just have Kelly take Frank's minutes away? That'd be pretty awesome, actually. That'd be really freaking awesome.
If he comes back and this thing gets screwed up, oh man!
I don't want to start him. I want him to play Frank's minutes. No, nobody can screw up Frank's minutes more than Frank is.
That is fair, Dave. That is 100% fair. I'll give you that. I will give you that 100%.
If that forces Dario to play 5 more minutes in a game, and DeAndre to play 5 more minutes, or Kelly takes those 10 minutes, come on, nobody can do worse.
No, that is fair. But do not screw with this starting lineup right now. Do not screw with major minutes down the stretch. Like, the last thing you want is to try to make some massive change just because Kelly decides, oh, now my knee feels good enough. Like, sorry, the train's rolling. You gotta run.
He's been the biggest cheerleader on the team so far. Guys talk about it all the time.
There is no knock on what he brings from an emotional level. The fact that he was willing to go out there and cheer these guys on. I'm just talking strictly on the court right now. I'm superstitious as hell. And when you got a winning streak, you don't disrespect that streak. You ride it until it comes to an end. And the Suns need to do that. And hopefully that end is sometime in a 7-game series against the Los Angeles Lakers. And if that means Kelly Oubre sits out that whole time, so be it. But you ride the hot hand, you ride this streak as far as you can, and you don't mess with it.
Yeah.
YouTube chat's on fire today, man.
Yeah,
Dog saying Frank the empty tank. Man, you guys are hilarious. So yeah, let's go through and talk about some of the players individually. Let's go ahead. Greg's been waiting to talk about Campaign. I've been waiting to talk about Campaign. I thought this was his best game as a Phoenix Sun so far. He had a stretch where he hit a couple of threes that was really great, but specifically, I thought that his help defense was really, really good in this game, and it's great to see another guard so quick out there on the floor.
Yeah, he came in and he was the difference maker, right? Indiana closes the gap, takes a brief lead at one point, and then Payne comes in, and yeah, he had a rough stretch earlier in the game, but he comes in and he basically took over, slashing to the hoop, making buckets, hitting threes, just doing everything that second unit needed, that spark that they've been missing at backup point guard. If he doesn't come in and do that, Indiana probably builds on that lead while the starters are on the bench. And then you've got Devin in foul trouble trying to make a comeback instead of trying to come in and be able to keep the lead.
When was the last time a lefty backup point guard stepped in and took over a game, a big, huge playoff atmosphere game?
Wasn't Goran a lefty?
Yeah, he was.
23 points.
Cam's our new Goran. He's the new dragon.
There was a lineup that the Suns were playing for a little while going back, where I believe every player on that Suns lineup was left-handed.
There was?
I think so. Yeah, I remember talking about it. I thought Payne was incredible this game, but it was one of those where if you're looking at the on-off numbers, where I believe he was a -5 in his minutes, that just didn't, to me, I was shocked when I saw that.
I was shocked as well when you brought that up. I expected Dave to have something there, and Dave just sat there. So I was shocked as well when you brought that up.
Well, I'm used to you taking the lead first from Tim every time.
I'm sorry. I thought I'd give you a chance to speak. I apologize.
I blew my one shot.
I'm
Frank. I'm the Frank of this podcast.
Well, we always knew that.
Well, exactly. And, the Monty, so you'll get lots and lots of other chances, whether or not you deserve them.
By the way, I'm taking a beating in the chat about Kelly Oubre. Apparently, most people don't agree with my view on Kelly Oubre.
Oh, you got a lot of agrees. There's just enough. It's a balance.
Okay, well, I must have just saw it's scrolling by like a slot machine here. There's so much going on in the chat.
I love all this chat. I love all the chats going on. Yes.
All right, so this is my fault because we didn't get into this before going down the individual players. Dave, we didn't get to get your take on it again because you were in post-game media availability. Greg and I agreed. I want to see if you agree with us as well. And of course, everybody in the chat, let us know if you think so. Also, player of the game, Deandre Ayton, 23 points, 10 boards, 4 blocks, 2 steals, and assists. Some incredible help defense at times, some other kind of lazy help defense at times as well. But overall, just an incredible game that at least Greg and I saw from him. Dave, do you agree? Deandre Ayton, player of the game.
Look, I'm the biggest Ayton fan. I really like, my heart wants me to say Payne was the biggest difference maker in this game, though, because he was the unexpected one. We expect the most from Deandre Ayton, and that's why we're so hard on him. But Payne, we expect absolutely nothing from. The Suns were in a big rut. I mean, they got down 75-72 to the Pacers today early in the third quarter. It looked like the Pacers were just going to walk away because Devin Booker had his 5th foul again. And it's like, oh man. So it's just amazing that Payne just came in there with Dario. Him and Dario are just aggressive as hell in that second unit. Javon Carter's aggressive as hell too. He just doesn't take as many shots. But yeah, that's just so fun to watch. It's so fun to watch. Those guys are propping up Frank. Frank's got an overall plus.
Dave, do you agree though?
No, I think it's Payne. I'm going to call Payne. Yeah.
All right.
That was actually the argument we had. It was between Deandre Ayton and Payne. Except Tim wanted then changed his mind and wanted to make it Cam Johnson, and I said no. If we're gonna make it somebody that isn't Payne, it's gonna be Deandre Ayton.
Well, I mean, I was just looking at that positive. I did think the eye test was Payne. I thought that he had the largest impact on the game when the Suns really needed a difference maker. Looking at who was actually doing the best in terms of outscoring the opponent when on the court, Cam Johnson. If you look at the box score and consistent impact on the game front to start, it was Deandre Ayton.
I love that Rick Johnson, one of our flaming ballers, just keeps saying Cam Johnson was a plus 36. So I think we know who he thinks player of the game was. And honestly, I don't care. I mean, if you look at this across the board, you could have picked either of the Cams or DeAndre. You needed all three of those performances to pull off this big win today. So I don't think you could go wrong across the board there. But momentum swing, Payne was that. Consistency throughout the game was Cam Johnson, and overall best performance was DeAndre Ayton. So I think we're splitting hairs here if we argue about which one of them.
Pretty freaking incredible that we're fighting over who had the best game when it's just the Suns are 4-0 in this bubble, and they actually have a legit shot to play themselves into the playoffs, and they're not wilting under the pressure. So let me just read off a couple. I'm going to find some good. I did some quick transcribing while I was in postgame media. It's Monty answering questions at first. It's really cool to see us come together as a team. As on the bench, that group that came in the game, it wasn't just a spark, it was a bit of an explosion. Absolutely, that's true. But they're never satisfied. They're always looking to the next game. We have to dial in on some things. If we take care of those things, we may have a chance. I mean, they don't rest on their laurels. They're just not happy to be here. And every single post game, there's a national writer from somewhere going, aren't you guys just happy to be here in various wording versions? And Monty and Devin and those guys, they just keep answering, no, we belong here. And then Monty's even getting frustrated with all the people asking how much Devin has changed this year. And let's see, what did he say? No, shoot, I can't find it right now. But he's like, oh yeah, I don't think this is going to change Devin's mentality because this is the way this young man has played all the time. People are just now noticing. I thought more people were paying attention around the league, but I guess I was wrong.
How did somebody still ask the question, oh, do you really think you belong here? Or,
they're literally asking questions. Here? You guys are happy to be here. Can you believe this great fortune you're having, this great run you're on? Are you just thrilled over how things are going? It's just like all these pats on the head from the national media is frustrating.
It's condescending.
And it's getting frustrating. It's condescending, and it's getting frustrating for Monty and Book too.
Which maybe that's helping fuel them. Honestly, if I kept hearing that, I guess this is the way you earn respect is to kick the door.
Well, they keep saying it. I got to
beat people.
Right. We got to win games to earn respect. They get it. The Suns get it. They get it. But it's like, wow, these guys really, I mean, there really isn't respect for the Suns' ability to finish this out because they're not watching how the Suns are beating these teams. The Suns are a really good team.
Well, and when you're the only undefeated team left in the bubble and you just beat the other undefeated team and beat
by 16 points,
one of the favorites in the West the game before, you belong here. You might actually be the one that spoils everybody's entire expectations of the whole damn thing, as a matter of fact. And that's exciting. Like I tweeted about this during the game, but honestly, this is what it's like to fall in love again with basketball. I know it sounds ridiculous, but when we're going through as a community, as a society, as a world, everything we are, and then you get something that's been as genuinely fun as what we've experienced through these 4 games, it's just a reminder to me how much I've loved sports, but basketball in particular, and the Suns since I was younger. I mean, this reminds me of being a 10-year-old and watching a playoff run like that 92-93 season, those kind of things. It's that thrilling right now to enjoy. And that's a nice reminder in what has been otherwise a last 7-8 months of, just a beatdown in general across the board.
In 7-8 years or what?
Well, no. I'm talking in general as overall as a society. The world.
Okay, yeah.
A decade of a beatdown for sure.
Yeah.
So let's get back to the player breakdowns, though, Tim. Where
All
else
right,
do
so
we
let's
wanna go
talk
here?
about Devin Booker next. He picked up those 4 fouls. Let's talk about the positive. We spoke about this a bit earlier. I thought that it was one of his best passing games. His passes were just on point. I didn't realize he had 10 assists. I think that he obviously would have had a lot more if the Suns had shot better from three. Not the case. But those 4 fouls he had in 2 minutes during the third, that last one in particular was not the smartest foul. But apart from that foul trouble he got himself into, what did you guys think of Devin Booker's performance tonight?
I thought he had a really good performance. I obviously he got himself into some foul trouble early in the third, but he handled it with class. He didn't get a tee. He didn't get himself teed up over it. He just walked off. He trusted his teammates. I asked him about that and after the game, and he's just like, they're a backbone. We know we're in good hands when the bench has to come in. So it happened. And then he came back and he helped close the deal. Same thing he did. Helped close the deal on Tuesday, helped close the deal on Sunday, and he helped to close the deal tonight. Devin Booker is playing the right way, and he's doing incredibly well. I thought he had, obviously had foul trouble, but I thought he had a great game, and he had 10 assists as well. I mean, the guy's dealing.
Played within himself, understood that he could trust his teammates, did the little things when he needed to, even though he had 5 fouls. I mean, this is a complete game from Devin Booker. He's going to get the praise for what he did in the Clippers game and rightfully so. Big scoring output, game winner. But these are the kind of things that make you a star as well. A game where you have 20, 10, and 3, and you do it with 5 fouls in the last 8 minutes, and you don't foul out of a game. You help extend the lead and keep your team confident and poised throughout that run. So this is just as good of a game to me as the Clippers game was, obviously without the sexy final dagger, but I'd much rather have a 15-point win than nail biter like they did against the Clippers, because this was a team effort and Devin Booker was a big part of that. Monty talks about the next step for him is just being a leader day in, day out. You lead like this. You lead by example on the court in what Devin Booker did in this game.
So fouls are really being called at an all-time high. I mean, there's about 50 fouls a game being called in the bubble so far, and the average throughout the rest of the season was 41. I think it's because there's no fans, so the refs can hear the slaps and the yells and all that so much easier than ever. I wonder if the future of NBA basketball is going to be like football, where when you've got the ball, you want to be as quiet as possible while the plays are being called and while the fouls are being committed against your team. And then when you're on defense, you're as loud as possible so you can drown out the fouls your team is committing. So I think that would be great if we could do that, where the crowd gets completely quiet when the Suns have the ball so we can get foul calls.
Thank you so much to BEs on YouTube right now for supporting the show with that contribution. We really do appreciate you.
Is that Michael Beasley?
I would want to bring it back to another YouTube comment I was reading that I misread at first, and I thought it was funnier when I misread it. It was from the Warg of Wall Street. He said, "I hope going forward any debate between him and I read Michael Jordan will be put to rest." He was talking about Mitchell.
No.
Yes, Devin Booker is the GOAT. Mark it down. It's over.
I didn't realize that was a debate. I must have missed that one.
It's only a debate with Jazz fans.
Right. So the matchup, I think a lot of Suns fans, especially diehard Suns fans, were really looking forward to was Bridges versus TJ Warren. I thought that Bridges tonight was impeccable. He kept TJ Warren to 16 points on 20 field goal attempts. TJ Warren was 3 of 7 in the restricted area. He was fronting him. He was keeping Warren from getting the ball in the cuts a lot. I mean, just an amazing performance in my eyes. Bridges on TJ Warren tonight.
Well, and Bridges benefits from the fact that he he got to watch TJ a little bit in last year in practice as well. So you wind up understanding that and learning tendencies, and it helps you shut down a guy too. It didn't surprise me. I mean, this was the TJ Warren we always saw. This wasn't a huge surprise. I didn't think others may have, but I didn't think TJ Warren was going to continue to score at the level that he had through the first few bubble games here. So a great job by Mikal. Pulled out every trick in the book he had and shut down TJ Warren.
Yeah, I thought Mikal was just incredible. He's been incredible this whole time. And what's funny is you can see players just kind of power down when they see Mikal coming up on them one-on-one on defense and passing the ball off more and more. Mikal is just so fun to watch. When you drive into him, all he does is just keep stepping back and then he blocks your shot. I mean, it's just so great that you can't get one over on Mikal. All you can do is maybe pick him off and get your guys switched onto someone else. And so they spend all their time trying to get switches, and that messes up a team's offense. And that really that has a trickle effect down, keep going down, down, down. And the offense doesn't perform as well when you're constantly trying to change the matchup so you don't have to have Mikal defending you. I think it's just fun to watch.
I thought he had some really nice cuts and drives to the basket, specifically on offense as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Are we worried about Rubio's decrease in playmaking? I don't think he's got a decrease in playmaking. I think he has fewer assists because partly the Suns aren't making as many threes, and partly because the defenses are actually playing Rubio to shoot. So historically, Rubio, the way to beat Ricky Rubio is don't let him pass the ball and get those 10 assists, is make him shoot and he'll miss. Well, he's been making his shots. And so he's playing a little bit more off ball and a little bit more aggressive and actually taking the shot as he's driving in the lane because the defenses want him to shoot. They don't want him to pass. So it's kind of an up and down thing. He'll probably have a 13 assist game the next game. It all depends on how the defense is playing him. But man, he has been stepping up. Rubio has been making, I think he's about 50-60% on his threes in the bubble. It's pretty crazy. I love watching just how he's playing with the team instead of having to run the team. He talked the other day about how he thought he'd be able to get guys easier shots, and he has been all season. And sometimes he has to take the shots himself, and he's actually knocking them down.
There was a play that they ran, that the Suns ran, where it was Rubio as a ball handler. It was a horn set, Saric and Ayton. Saric popped behind the three-point line. Ayton drove to the basket, and I was just thinking, why don't the Suns run that exact same play 15 times a game? I mean, how do you can't defend it?
I've always wondered why a team doesn't run the same play over and over and over again. And rarely, I think coaches outsmart themselves a little bit, or players outsmart themselves. I'm not really 100% sure, but I remember last year, I think it was the Lakers, they ran an Avery Bradley play. I think it was a double screen where Avery Bradley curled around the paint and scored either on a jumper or a layup. And they did it 6-7 times in a row. And the Suns players couldn't stop talking about it after the game, saying, there's no way we should have let that happen. Once you see it 2 or 3 times, you should be able to stop it every time from then on. And then the other team has to adjust. So some of it is that the other team must have adjusted their defense. And some of it is the players and the coaches outsmart themselves by thinking there's no way we can go to that well so many times in a row.
I mean, it was beautiful. They should definitely do it more often. Let's talk about Dario. So Dario Saric, this is something I tweeted out to me. I love his game, but it's crazy to me how much more impactful he seems to be in the second half of games.
Dario and Cam, I think they feel the moment, man. They've both been balling out in the second half. I just love the way Dario's been playing. So aggressive, using his body, muscling in there, getting those dipsy doos, rumble stumbles, and getting layups out of it is just incredible to watch. And then Cam from the outside, it's just fun.
That was the oldest white guy analysis I have ever heard. Even Al McCoy
He looks like an old white guy.
Even Al McCoy just went, I don't know what the hell Dave King is talking about right now.
You know what I'm talking about. He's not the prettiest looking guy out
He's-
there in his
he's
movement.
a very pretty gentleman. He also what he did to Jakar Sampson today, who Sampson was a negative 18 in 12 minutes with 0 points and 1 rebound. I thought that Dario just absolutely owned that matchup.
Dave, you said it right though. I think guys like Dario are feeling the moment. You know, understanding when they have to do something to help pick up this team, not trying too hard or forcing things, and that speaks again volumes to what Monty Williams has built in his system. I mean, if you watch over these 4 games, the ball movement has been spectacular. Nobody is stopping the ball. Nobody's just doing things that take the offense out of their flow. They're just understanding the moment, taking the shot when it's right. And Saric has been spectacular at that, especially in second halves of games where they really need the bench to step up.
And he's been spectacular in that he's in a lineup that doesn't have a ton of playmaking in it when he goes in, because Payne is not a natural 10 assist guy. He's not going to get those assists. Javon Carter's not going to get big assists. So Dario is like a playmaker. And he talked about this the other day, that this is just how he's been his whole life, kind of playing everything. He was always the best guy around his neighborhood with the ball, and he was always the tallest. So he played center, he played playmaker, he played point guard, he did everything. And he's just used to it. And so he feels more comfortable when he gets to do whatever he thinks is right, rather than being the spot up 3-point shooter. He isn't as comfortable in a role where he's a stretch 4, because that's all he does on the court. You know, you've got Ricky and Devin and those guys handling the ball. So he's really good in that second unit. And also, he really likes the guys he's playing with. He talked about it the other day. He's like, because most of the guys on this team, as you guys know, they have 4 guys from the 2015 draft. They've got several guys. Most guys are between 24 and 26 years old. James Jones put that have been added to Deandre and Mikal and Devin. They're in the 24 to 26-year-old range for the most part. And Dario said our close age is kind of playing a big role between us. We all have similar mindsets, but it's hard to say. When you're winning, everything is easier. Obviously, teams come more together, you stick more together. I think we're in that moment right now. So part of it is they're enjoying the bubble, they're enjoying winning games, and they enjoy the fact that they have the same mindset. They're around the same age. So things are just going well. And Dario did comment, this is kind of like a European championship or a world championship or Olympics, because he's been in international play for the last decade. You get caught in the right moment, everything can happen. And that's what we're trying to do right now. So they're just taking the bull by the horns, and they're doing everything they can.
Yeah, I think Ricky and Dario having that experience in the international play. I know Frank hasn't played well, but I think he can, having those runs in the NCAA tournament and that experience can probably help this team as well, because this is completely different than anything any of these guys have ever experienced in the NBA. No, there's nothing I think you can compare it to from an NBA perspective, and they're just making the most of this moment, and hopefully this is something that solidifies this group as a team long term and not just in the short term as well.
So we have a supporters only private Facebook group that if you're listening to the podcast right now and you support the show there, or if you are watching on YouTube and you're one of our flaming ballers, we're going to put the link in. I'm going to put it into the chat right now. If you're listening to the podcast version of this, just open up the show notes below and there will be a link to that private Facebook group chat. But Greg, do me a favor. Why don't you tell people how they can essentially sign up to support the show if they're watching on YouTube?
Okay, well, there is a join button in the YouTube chat or in the YouTube page and on the player that you can click there. That's probably the easiest way that you can go about it. You can also find the link in the description to the video to become one of our flaming ballers in there. We can chat with you via YouTube in there. Eventually we can do some exclusive videos and exclusive Q&As that then we'll do as a podcast for everybody to listen to. And then one other way that I want to share here as well that you can support the show is with these Devin Booker. We won't call him Devin Booker. We don't want to get sued, but these legendary shirts that you can purchase at sunsshirts.com. A fun way to show your support for what could turn out to be the moment that everybody realized Devin Booker was a superstar, or the guy that wears number 1 for the Suns, whatever's not going to get us sued.
Greg, I bought one the minute I saw that tweet. No joke.
Yeah, we have a silent partner in this who's a graphic designer who will not be named, but did an amazing job on these. Fun way to support the show, fun way to show that you're a Suns fan as well. So that's another way you can support the program.
That's pretty awesome. I'm going to get myself one this weekend for sure.
I think
the platform that's actually selling those shirts on, those are super quality shirts. So those are not like the janky $6.99.
Are they true to size?
Yeah, but it's not one of those shirts that's like the $10 shirt special at the arena. It's the shirts that actually fit well and you want to wear again. So I was super excited. I love that design. Whoever the hell that silent partner is, and the $4 are going to make off of us, or off of their work that we're allowed to use as well. Thank you to whoever does that.
And we're gonna have probably a Bubble Boys shirt going up there
awesome
soon too, that you guys can support the show with. Just trying to have some fun with this run and give you guys some cool stuff that you can
post the shirt link when you get a chance. Somebody's asking for it and they want to know if this shipper will ship worldwide.
I believe they do ship worldwide, and I'm putting it in the chat right now. It's sunsshirts.com.
And I do want to thank one of our most recent supporters, Titus Max 99. Thank you so much for that. We all appreciate you. All right, so Dave, you want to take it away on where the Suns now sit in the bubble as of the time of recording this episode, which is at 7:45 p.m. on August 6th.
That's Eastern time for
correct.
Espo, you had posted the standings a minute ago. If you want to put those back up,
I'll pull them back up for you.
So the Suns jumped up to 11th right now with their 30th win on the season, and 10th, they are actually 10th.
Yes,
well, I think
10th.
They're tied. I think they're tied with a team that played 2 less games or 2 more games. Oh shoot, that's too small for me to see.
According to NBA.com, the Suns are in 10th place with a .435 win percentage over San Antonio as a .433 win percentage. They're sitting a game back of 9th seed Portland, who plays against the Nuggets tonight. So go Nugs. We are all big Denver supporters.
We're big, huge Denver supporters, Denver Athletic supporters, yes.
And they're 2 games back of the A seed with Memphis right now.
Yep. And they have a chance, right? I mean, this is the point where the Suns have a chance, and we went into this.
They have a big chance.
Yeah, they have a. It's pretty it's realistic that it could happen. We went into the bubble thinking, all right, so in order for the Suns really to even have a chance, they'd have to go at least 6-2. They wouldn't even then really be in control of their destiny. Who the hell thought we would be sitting here 4 games in with it being incredibly realistic that they could get that 9th spot? They would have to, I think they'd have to win at least 2 of their next 4 games in order for that to happen.
Great. Back to the merch. Really quick, somebody did put in, we need a flaming baller shirt design.
I'm working on that as well. But
okay, good.
Tim, to your point, I think they have
help me
to
out with the math though. They have to. So as of recording this, the Grizzlies are at 32 and 37. Yeah. The Suns would have to win at least 3.
Oh yeah, they still got to go at least 7-1, I think, to be comfortably into the play-in. The Grizzlies, look, they lost Jaren Jackson Jr. I'm very sad about that. I never ever want to beat a team that's missing players. I really don't. But it is what it is. Jaren Jackson is out, so Memphis is going to struggle. They don't have an easy schedule remaining. Portland is the one that has the easiest schedule, so it's pretty comfortable in my opinion that they're going to get into 8th. They're going to have to do a play-in game. They're not going to create a 4-game separation at this point at all. So the Suns should be shooting for 9th. The Suns, if they go 3-1, I'm comfortable that they'll be in 9th place, or at least at a play-in for the play-in. And I think that's what the Suns got to shoot for. They are going to be playing. Let's see. I had this open earlier, and of course, here we go. They got the Miami Heat on Saturday, the Thunder on Monday, the 76ers on Tuesday, who are without Ben Simmons, by the way, and then the Dallas Mavericks on the 13th and on the final game next Thursday, and that is TBD. But you know what? If it's about the Suns making it in the playoffs, it might actually be on some kind of national coverage. But the tough games, obviously, are the Heat and the Thunder. So I think they can beat the Sixers without Ben Simmons, and they can beat the Mavericks again because the Mavericks are locked into 7th, and they're probably going to rest some guys. They don't have anything to play for. So it's really the Heat and the Thunder that the Suns really got to worry about.
Well, if Butler...
Sorry, keep going.
I was
potentially Butler Dragic on Sunday or Saturday.
Yeah, Butler's hurt. So and Dragic has been hurt. His seems less serious than Butler's, but you could wind up having a depleted Miami team as well, and yet another thing falls in line.
Do you remember though last year? If you look at his game log, it's really interesting. Goran Dragic. He was out with a knee issue for like a month before the Suns game. He played the Suns game, got a double-double in points and assists, played maybe one other game right before or after that, and then was out for a few more weeks. The dude's going to play Saturday.
So you're saying revenge game is what we're going to see.
Constant revenge.
Greg, can you bring up this comment from Joel Ramirez in the YouTube chat? No, not that one. I'm sorry. It's the one about the NBA bringing in Tim Donaghy out of retirement to ref the Suns' last 4 games.
I'm not seeing that yet in the control panel, but that would not shock me. A late addition to the bubble, Tim Donaghy and his mob friend
is currently in quarantine to call the next Sun. Yes. That would be
hilarious. Greg, tweet of the game, my friend. Tweet of the game.
Let's pull that up. It's a little national love for the Suns finally from a friend. No, I guess he's not a friend. I don't really know him, but somebody over at the Ringer at one. Our boy Kevin O'Connor over there. He says he strikes out bright future Suns, which is what he kept calling them, and calling them the bright now Suns. So. It's at least one national guy that understands, hey, this team may have really turned a corner and have something special going on in Orlando. So props to Kevin O'Connor over at the Ringer for actually taking some notice of what's going on here in the not in the desert, but here,
which is really interesting because Kevin O'Connor had been over the past couple of years one of the Suns' only national sympathizers, not necessarily supporters, but one of the national sympathizers. And now I saw some, he's always had our back, but now I saw some hate on him today. So he must have said something recently that was out of character for him about negativity about the Suns. Zach Lowe and Kevin Arnovitz were on Lowe's podcast the other day, and they were talking very positively about the Suns. Lowe more so than Arnovitz. Arnovitz was doing the head tap, oh, good job, whereas Lowe was really like, this is a really good, and I feel like they have a chance. Dwayne Wade said that he calls the Suns the dark horse to make that 9th seed or 8th seed, but although he picked Portland to actually take over that 9th place. But now that Memphis is completely tanking, it could be both. Portland.
Didn't they have the worst chance of making it when that?
1 in 10,000
automatically. The
1 in
10,000.
Yeah, they were the worst odds. Washington had better odds. Washington has actually fallen so far behind that Charlotte, who's not in the bubble, has passed them in the standings, which is pretty damn impressive.
Oh my gosh, Eduardo just commented: Nuggets will be without Murray, Barton and Harris, which has been the case the whole time, but also Troy Daniels and Paul Millsap. They have no guards. No, but Troy Daniels has been basically their starting point guard for a while because all
let
their
him
guards are
start.
hurt.
Let him start.
Yeah, but no, we want Denver to win tonight. We need Denver to beat Portland.
Give me that bowl triple double for the helping the Suns out. Whatever it takes.
Bowl and obviously Porter. I can't even think of his name. Michael Porter Jr. Thank you. I was trying to say Kevin Porter, but that's the other team. That's the Cavaliers who are not in the bubble. Michael Porter Jr.'s got to get another 30 bagger.
Yep. So on that note, since the Suns are playing on Saturday night, we will likely record Sunday morning unless we decide to do a post show Saturday evening. That being said, we certainly won't be recording Saturday morning.
Oh, there's no way I can be on Saturday afternoon show anyway. I've got my oldest daughter is graduating from PA school this week. And so we're having a small socially distant party on Saturday. So I'm not allowed to watch the Suns.
Is that production assistant? not trying to be
physician. Sorry, physician assistant. So doctor's office, hospitals, things like that. Yeah. So she's graduating from that. Assistant. Yeah. So big, huge congratulations to her. And we're going to have a little tiny socially distant party on Saturday. So I can't watch basketball.
Well, congratulations to her. So Sunday morning, we will be live here on.
Darth Voida just offered to do the show with Espo if they wanted to do a post game.
Wait, what about me? Why do I not exist?
Thought you couldn't do it.
Maybe we will do a special post game, and then the three of us can get together. Darth, hit me up in the DMs.
No, we ain't doing it with Darth. Darth just said, "Espo, I'll do it with you." You know,
we can do it on your show then, Darth. We'll slide in.
I think he was just speaking for me. That's all.
All right. So on that note. Do us a favor, hit the like button, the thumbs up button. It really does help. Espo, I apologize for cutting you off.
I was just going to say congratulations to Dave's daughter. It's amazing that you've overcome being Dave's daughter to be successful. So congratulations on that.
More power to her. That's right.
Yeah. It's also great that you've been able to get time off working in the retirement home to come on and do these pods.
They're all in bed already. So
imagine all the shit I'm going to have to clean up in a few minutes.
So on that note, thank you so much for everybody that joined us live for this post-game show. For Dave, Greg, and myself, we will see you again at least Sunday morning for when the Suns play the Miami Heat.
Talk to y'all